Millions of school children could soon be without access to breakfast or lunch. A $1.5 trillion spending bill that was just passed by the U.S. House left out funding for this program. The bill would allocate money to fund the government through September. It excluded $11 billion worth of child nutrition waivers. These were a hallmark of the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. That's a COVID-19 relief package passed in March 2020. The act put school meals largely under the authority of the USDA. Then it provided schools with waivers that let them serve free and reduced price meals to nearly every student, regardless of their family's income. According to a USDA official, 90% of schools have been using a waiver to serve free meals to their students. However, the USDA's authority ends on June 30th, and the additional 10 million students receiving free meals at school each day will no longer be eligible. Joining us now is Laura Reiley. She covers the business of food for the Washington Post. Ms. Reiley, first of all, can you just explain a little bit more about how these waivers work?
Well, so there are really three things that are going away. So there's money. So school lunch reimbursement will go from about $4.50 per lunch to under $3, $2.91 per lunch. So that impacts every school, every district around the country. But in addition to that, it's about flexibility. So because Republican legislators have said, hey, the pandemic is nearly over, we shouldn't be funding this pandemic relief. This is going away. However, all of these schools have had supply chain problems. I spent a couple days in Burke County, Georgia, watching as they pivot, as trucks show up half full, and they have to figure out something to do. So some of these waivers are about giving schools flexibility in what they serve, and not just what they serve, but where they serve it. This will take away the opportunity for meals to be served in the classroom, were there to be another variant that came down the pike. So it really does take a lot of tools out of the toolbox from school districts.
You mentioned that Republican lawmakers pushed back against this funding. Explain a little bit more of the politics behind why this money was taken out.
Well, I think that there are a lot of valid questions about how all of the COVID relief money got spent. We've seen some fraud. We've seen some unfortunate profiteering go on. There's some interesting cases coming out that people took advantage of the situation. So I think a lot of Republicans are saying, before we spend more money on the pandemic, as these Omicron numbers are really plummeting, let's take a pause and let's not just throw new money into this. But I will tell you that a lot of school districts they've spent the past 2 years giving everybody meals that showed up, right? You show up, you're hungry, you get a meal. They have not asked kids to prove their parents' low income eligibility for 2 years. So starting June 30th, all of a sudden a kid will show up waiting to get a meal, and they'll be told, oh, I'm sorry, you need to fill out a form, or have your parent come and fill out a form to say that they are eligible for free or reduced price lunch. And no one has the infrastructure or the labor, frankly, to make that happen.
Talk about the impact of these waivers now. I mean, they started early in the pandemic when a lot of schools were closing, and there was a deep concern that kids who rely on schools for free and reduced breakfast and lunch would basically go hungry. Now we've got schools reopening, schools are beginning to lift some of their mask mandates even. What does the need look like now compared to what it was then?
Joshua, it's the most remarkable thing. In some ways, the need is greater now, or the pressures on the school districts are greater now. They have incredible supply chain problems and fuel price problems and transportation. I mean, they're just not truckers available. This year, a lot of the school districts found that their contracts with their food distributors, U.S. Foods or Cisco, went away, and so they had to find new distributors across the board. School districts are really finding that they have to have, some of them are serving breakfast for lunch because they don't have the nuggets that they ordered. So they really do need the flexibility. And, I talked to a district in Utah, in Salt Lake City, and they said, we can't get labor right now because the wages just went up across the board in retail to $15 an hour. And our max is $13.50. We cannot get people in the door. So, there are ongoing problems that even as COVID lifts, even as mask mandates go away, even as all students are back in the classroom, schools are still facing these significant problems.
We asked for your thoughts on this free school meal program potentially going away. And just to be clear, this is part of a funding bill that has worked its way through Congress. It hasn't been signed into law yet, so it's not done yet, but it is part of a bill that was reached as part of a bipartisan negotiation, so it seems likely. But we did get a few of your responses about this. Ellen tweeted, yes, breakfast and lunch and a snack if they need it, and partner with food banks for weekend food backpacks if they need that. No more hungry kids. And Susie tweeted, we provide breakfast and lunch. Many students are sent home with bags stuffed with food through the Bags of Hope program at my Title I school. It's still happening. Laura Reiley of the Washington Post, I appreciate you explaining this to us. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.